All right, folks, let's jump right into this week's culinary deep dive. We're about to explore a recipe that caught my eye for being both delicious and a bit adventurous.
Sounds intriguing. What are we cooking up today?
We're taking on farro with blistered tomatoes, pesto, and spinach.
Okay, I'm already liking where this is going. Farro always adds a hearty touch.
Right, and this recipe from Yasmin Farr in the New York Times cooking section, it's not just a list of ingredients. She really gives you those pro tips that elevate the entire dish.
I'm all about those chef's secrets. So let's break it down. What makes this farro dish so special?
Well, for starters, it celebrates farro in all its glory. I feel like farro doesn't get enough love, you know?
Totally agree. Farro is one of those ancient grains that deserves way more attention. It's got this fantastic chewy texture, heartier and nuttier than rice, I'd say.
And it's incredibly versatile. But what I love about this recipe is that it's all about letting the farro shine.
Absolutely. And speaking of shining, let's talk about those blistered tomatoes because that sounds absolutely divine.
Okay, so Yasmin is very specific about using in-season cherry tomatoes for that peak flavor. But she does mention that if you can't find cherry tomatoes, grape tomatoes are a great substitute.
Makes sense. You want those little bursts of sweetness. Now, I'm curious about the blistering part. What's the method behind that?
So basically, you crank up the heat, we're talking 400 degrees, and roast those tomatoes until they get these beautiful caramelized edges.
Ah, so you're concentrating the flavor. I'm probably getting a hint of smokiness too. I can almost taste it. Sweet, smoky, and those juicy tomatoes.
Okay, now I'm really hungry. And it gets even better because the recipe calls for a generous helping of pesto. And the best part, you can go store-bought or homemade.
Oh, that's always a win-win,
Yeah.
especially if you're short on time. But homemade pesto is incredibly easy to whip up, and it's bursting with fresh flavor.
They actually link to a basic pesto recipe from the New York Times as well. But why do you think pesto works so well in this dish?
Pesto just brings this incredible freshness to the table, or should I say, to the farro. That combination of basil, pine nuts, garlic, a good olive oil. It just sings. It cuts through the richness of the farro and plays off the sweetness of the tomatoes beautifully.
It's like a flavor symphony. Now, for our listeners who might not be spinach fans, Yasmin suggests some really interesting substitutions.
Oh, I love when recipes offer flexibility. What does she recommend?
She mentions arugula for a peppery kick, or you could even use cooked broccoli rabe for a slightly bitter counterpoint to those sweet tomatoes. It really opens up a world of possibilities.
I love how adaptable this recipe is, and it speaks to how versatile farro is too. It can handle those bolder flavors without getting lost in the mix.
And you know me, I'm always thinking about those leftovers. And when I saw that Yasmin mentioned this dish is delicious cold the next day, I was sold.
Oh yeah, that's key. Leftovers should be something you look forward to.
Exactly. And she even suggests adding protein, like shrimp, chicken, or scallops, to turn it into a whole new meal.
Brilliant. Talk about a recipe that keeps on giving. It's perfect for meal prep, a quick lunch during the week, or even a light dinner. The possibilities are endless.
So, to recap, we have this incredibly hearty and flavorful base with the farro, those bursting with flavor tomatoes, and then that vibrant pesto tying it all together. And the best part is you can customize it to your heart's content.
Don't forget those leftovers. This is definitely a recipe that gets better with time and is a great reminder to embrace what's fresh and in season.
Which leads us to our final thought for our listeners. How would you make this recipe your own? What seasonal ingredients would you choose to really let those flavors shine? Let us know.
I can't wait to hear those creative spins. Until next time.